in the original Clerks with the alternate ending, what was your main choice to take that alternate ending out where Dante gets shot?
Why'd we take him getting shot out of the original Clerks?
Yeah, what was, like,
there were a
the
few
main
people
reason?
like Bob Hawke and John Pearson who were, not the Bob Hawke who can drink really fast here, but the guy who helped our film along, and John Pearson, who were, both of them were like, you know, you got a really fun movie here where you fall in love with these characters and you decide to kill one of them at the end just for no other reason except you don't know how to end the movie. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of it. And they said, you might want to think about taking that off and just have it end with like the workday ending and shit. So we lopped it off. And, you know, to me, that was always like the big joke at the end of the movie, the black humor, right? Like he's not even supposed to be there the day and he dies, ba-dum-bum. But a lot of people didn't kind of get into it that way. And Brian O'Halloran's always like, see, aren't you glad you let fucking Dante live? Because we got to do the cartoon, we got to do the fucking Clerks too. And I'm like, you know what, dude? It would have worked if we killed him off at the end of fucking Clerks 2. Clerks 2 just, at the end of the first movie, Clerks 2 just would have began differently. Like it would have began in front of a grave with Randall reading from the Necronomicon. And then a fucking hand juts out of the earth. And Randall helps the fucking zombified Dante out and brushes him off. And then he's like, so do you ever go ask him out? You know, just roll on with the film and never mention the fact that he got killed and raised from the dead. But thankfully, we didn't have to do that.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Kevin. My name's Nimrod.
Hey.
First of all, the movie was fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
If it is a bookend to this universe, it was perfect.
Thank you.
Just wanna say that. You've touched on you're going to be doing a horror movie next. I'm just wondering what was the sort of the impetus to do that? Was it something like Harvey Weinstein saying, you know, we need to cast a wider net, or budget-wise? Like, I mean, sorry.
No, in fact, Harvey Weinstein thinks that we're going to do a comedy next. I haven't told him yet about the horror movie. Hopefully he doesn't read my press. Because then he'll be like, what? Horror movie? We already made one. It was called Jersey Girl. No, it was me. It was just felt like at the end of Clerks 2, when I was done with the flick, I was like, this is a really nice way to end that series of movies. Far better than the ending of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. To go from Clerks to Clerks 2, there's a real sense of fucking closure and just feels like one big volume of movies. You close the book, put it up on a shelf and shit. And for some weird reason, I felt like, wow, man, like now that that's done, the sky's the limit. I can fucking do anything. And it's you know, it's like that moment in The Wizard of Oz where I'm like, I can go home with the ruby slippers and shit. And she's like, you could always go home. You just had to go home. And she's like, why don't you fucking tell me that 2 hours ago, you know? So I felt like, you know, even though I could have always done it, whatever I wanted, within some degree and whatnot, budgetarily. But I just never wanted to because I was so into telling the interconnected stories. But now that they're kind of gone, I can just, I don't know, I feel like I can do other things or try other things at least. And we had a little taste of it with Jersey Girl, but even that was like a variation on a comedic theme. It'd be nice to kind of go sharp left or right and do something completely different, something that, you know, we're not really known to do and make a horror movie.
Hi.
Hey.
First of all, I know you cop a lot of shit for it, but I just want to say that Jersey Girl's a great film. I really
Thank you,
enjoy
sir.
it.
I would never give you shit for that. Thank you.
And for the question, I know that a lot of your life experience gets put into a lot of your movies, like What Flanagan's Dog. Have you ever considered purchasing the real Quick Stop or RST video?
I have. It's so weird you say that. I always, in the back of my mind, I'm like, one day the Topper's going to put the store up on the block and I'm going to buy it. And then that'd be how I'd ride out the rest of my life, owning Quick Stop and go back to work at Quick Stop and shit. Because I know how to run that register really well. And it'd be kind of cool. I know that job. That was my favorite job outside of this job, was working at Quick Stop. RST Video, they've shuttered. It's sitting there. It's got all these VHSs in it, and they never really moved into the DVD era. And so it's now used more storage than anything else. Like, it still has the sign up and the videos are in there, but they rarely open it unless a local is just like, hey, I want to get a video, and then they go over and open it up. So, yeah, one day if the Toppers were like, we want to get out of this, I would totally fucking jump in there right away.
That'd be great. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man. Yes?
I'm Alex. Love the movie.
I'm sorry, please wrap cinema closing. This cinema? I guess we got to wrap up soon. Are you
Anyway.
wearing a tux?
No, just a tuxedo t-shirt.
Right on.
Half-assed it. Does the job.
That's kind of classy.
Oh, I thought so. For a while on your website, Clerks 2 was known as Clerks 2 Passion of the Clerks. Whatever happened to the title?
Passion of the Clerks, when we announced that we were doing a sequel to Clerks, there were two camps out on the internet, and one, which seemed larger, was the people that was like, can't wait to see more Dante and Randall. Then there was the vocal minority of fuck Clerks 2, and it's going to suck, and no movie, it can't nearly be as good as the first one. He hasn't made a good movie since Clerks, and this is going to not be any different, and it's going to suck, and blah, blah, blah. So regardless, those two camps, the one thing that they both agreed on was the Passion of the Clerks was a terrible title. And they never fucking ceased to remind me on a regular basis and shit. So finally I was like, all right, fuck it, I'll change the title and shit. And I thought long and hard, like, what would be a good title? And then I was like, Clerks 2. But oddly enough, like, Passion of the Clerks is a kind of appropriate title, like, after you see the movie.
Yeah. And just quickly, what did you think of, in recent episode of Entourage on HBO, how they just decided to completely destroy, the character just destroy you by saying, I will never do a film with him, I wouldn't even consider it?
I didn't feel destroyed. I felt like, holy shit, they said my name on TV. And I was like, I was sitting there with the wife, I was like, they said my fucking name on TV, did you hear it? She's like, well, they kind of slagged you. I was like, what? No, they said Kevin Smith. And I was like, wait, rewind it. Oh, shit, they slagged me, you know? Whatever, they took a shot. I'm not Hayden Christensen, so I wasn't like, no. I was like, that's fine, they took a shot, it's cool. It's kind of cool that I was referenced in that capacity, in as much as like, wow, my name was big enough to be thrown about on that show. At first I was like, I am never gonna work with Vincent Chase. And my wife was like, that's a fictional character. I was like, yeah, you got a point. But what was weird was the aftermath. There were people who would come up to me and be like, dude, right on, Aquaman 2. And at first I thought they were fucking kidding. But they were serious. They're like, is Black Manta gonna be in it? And I was like, you do realize that's a TV show, don't you? I mean, my wife had to remind me, but do you... That shit's not real. Like, do you remember Aquaman 1? So, yeah, it didn't fucking bother me in the least. I thought it was kind of cool. It was the second shot they took, too. I was kind of inured after they took the first one in the second season? Second season.
How did Jason Mewes feel about you sort of putting all of his personal business out on your blog in Me and My Shadow? I mean, personally, I found it a really nice, touching story, but how did he feel about you sort of saying all that about him?
I ran it past him first before I did it, you know, because it all stemmed off of that whole Nicole Richie thing that kind of got out there. And what bugged me about that was people would write about the Nicole Richie thing and be like, yeah, Nicole Richie denies bathroom sex with drug-addicted actor. And it was like they wouldn't even give him a fucking name until like third paragraph in. So I was like, fucking that, like, that's, the dude, number one, he's no longer drug addicted. Number two, you know, the dude's kind of gone through hell. And that piece about Nicole Richie came out of a long story I did at a Q&A about Mewes cleaning up and whatnot. It was just one tiny part of that very long story. It's like a half-hour story and shit. And I was like, I can't believe, like, I tell that whole story and that's the one piece they pick up on is like he fucked Nicole Richie in the bathroom and shit. So I was like, he deserves more credit than that. So I started writing the piece, and the first two installments I showed him. I was like, I'm gonna keep writing, what do you think? And he's like, I dig it, go ahead. So he was all about it and whatnot. He was not nearly as enthusiastic about playing what he felt was second fiddle to Trevor Furman in the movie, in Clerks 2, because he felt like Trevor had way too much screen time. Like, he likes Trevor and shit, but he was just like, dude, what the fuck with another guy? Like, Dante, Randall, Jay, and Bob, who the fuck is Elias and shit? Like, roll that back, man. We could be having all his lines. And I was like, well, I don't really talk in the movies. He got kind of fucking tight about it and shit, and then he kind of grew to love Trevor and whatnot. But that dude, you know, he was in that Pussy Troll scene. And the Pussy Troll scene was something of a bit of a controversy and shit on set, because it came out of real life to some degree, because Jason Mewes, who is a dude that, as I said in that fucking long blog, he fucks an awful lot. You know, Mewes' numbers are in the 300s at this point, 300 different chicks and whatnot. And he was dating this one girl. Like normally Muse kind of meets a girl, romances her. Within the first 3 minutes, they wind up fucking later in the day. And then like he fucks her for a week and then he's off doing something else or somebody else. And sometimes it's the next day. So he had this girl that he was going out with. And he was kind of tight at me. The only thing he was mad about me on that blog is like, dude, don't fucking tell people I fucked 300 girls. He's like, because then the next girl who wants to fuck me is be like, ew, you fucked 300 girls? And I was like, all right, I won't say anything. So he was dating this one girl where he didn't close the deal right away. Like he was sitting around talking to me and Brian Johnson about it. And he was like, you know, we're going together for a little while now. She's real cool. I like her. I'm hanging out with her and blah, blah, blah. I was like, did you guys fuck yet? He's like, no. I was like, get out of here. How long's it been? He's like, 3 weeks. I was like, 3 fucking weeks? What happened to your fucking skills, pimp? And he's like, I don't know. She doesn't want to have sex yet. And he's like, but I'm cool with it because I like hanging out with her, so I'm willing to wait. And I was like, what a fucking uncharacteristic statement for this dude to make. Like he was showing like a newfound maturity and shit. And rather than praise his newfound maturity, me and Johnson mocked him relentlessly. You know, just being like, why can't you close the deal, bitch ass? Like, what the fuck, man? What's going on and shit? So me and Johnson are sitting there with Muse, and me and Johnson are going back and forth trying to come up with reasons that she would have given Muse to not fuck. Reasons that Muse would buy and shit. And Muse is just sitting there the whole time like, this shit ain't fucking funny, you know. But me and
Like you
Brian
sucked
are going,
37 dicks or something.
something, he wouldn't care about that. That dude, he's happy to be 38. So we're going back and forth, and finally it was getting more and more ridiculous. And then I was just like, no, she fucking told him that she's got a pussy troll in her. And Brian's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I was like, you know, she got a pussy troll in her, and the parents put the pussy troll in her to keep her from fucking, and until the pussy troll gets pissed out of her body, nobody can fuck her. And that's why Muse won't fuck her, because that's what she told them, and fucking Muse believes it. And fucking me and Brian are just dying and shit. And Muse is like, yeah, go on, keep fucking laughing, you know? And Brian's like, where'd you come up with that? I was like, I don't know, but if it had a name, it would be Pillow Pants, you know? So Brian was laughing so hard, and I love Brian and respect him to death. I think he's one of the funniest people I've ever met. That when he started laughing at it, I was like, I gotta put that in a fucking movie. Hands down, that's gotta go into a movie. And the first time we showed the flick to Harvey Weinstein, you know, chairman of Miramax, our boss, dude had 2 notes on the whole movie. We showed him an hour and 5 minutes of footage cut together because I was cutting while we were shooting. And he said, 2 notes, got 2 notes on the whole picture. One was, he goes, the Rosario dancing up on the roof. He's going, did you ever shoot her from head to toe? And I said, no, we just pretty much shot her like, you know, waist up or in a cowboy, cut her off at the knees. And he's like, oh shit, well you gotta go back and shoot her from head to toe. And I was like, why? He's like, because she's dancing. You gotta shoot a dancer from head to toe. And I'll put you on the phone with Rob Marshall. He directed Chicago. He'll tell you the same thing. And I was like, well, she's not, the movie's not about dancing. Like, it's just, you know, kind of, she's teaching them to dance, and she's not really dressed like a dancer. It's not like she's wearing tights. She's wearing, like, you know, fucking corduroys. There's nothing to see from the knees down and shit. He's like, you gotta shoot her head to toe. I'm gonna hook you up with Rob Marshall. He'll tell you. And I was like, what would be more awkward than that fucking phone call with Rob Marshall? Where he's like, yeah, this is Rob Marshall. I made Chicago. Just, you know, you gotta shoot it. Harvey said you got to shoot a dancer head to toe. I got other shit to do. Bye, you know, click. So thankfully he let off on that issue and shit. I was like, dude, you know, really, we shot the important part. Like, it's all here on the face. Like, I wanted to kind of be in on the face where the magic is, because you could see she kind of really digs the guy. And it doesn't hurt that, you know, the girls are bouncing and shit as well. That's where the money is. And the other note that he had, which I will fucking never forget, is he's like, that pillow pants scene, the pussy troll. He said, it's pretty funny. I said, thanks. He's gone, but I really think you need to show that thing. And I was just like, you do know those things don't exist, don't you? He said, yeah, but I think you need to fucking show the pussy troll. He's going, the only way that fucking thing works is if you show it. You know, that would be really funny. And I was like, dude, the reason that scene works is you have two guys. One believes with every fiber of his being that there are such things as pussy trolls. The other guy, who represents everyone else in the world, knows that this dude is just fucking out of his mind. And if you show the pussy troll, you just run the risk of adding credibility to this guy. And he's just like, well, I don't know, I think it needs to be shown. He's going, you know, you got to think about foreign audiences. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, an American audience, maybe they're fine with it, but foreigners need to see things. Like you guys. So I was like, I don't know. He's like, well, I'll give you the money to reshoot it, but we have to do it. I'm telling you, we got to do it. So me and Mosier were like, what the fuck do we do? Like, how do we represent the pussy troll, man? Like, what do we go and how do we do it? And so the best idea we came up with was dressing Muse up like a troll and building a giant wooden labia around him and having him just sit there and go like this for a few seconds. And so we told him about it. He's like, I'll do it. And thankfully, after a few weeks, we were able to beat Harvey down about it and just be like, dude, it's not a good idea to show it. And he let it go. And then Muse was just like, when are we doing that pussy troll shot? And I was like, well, we don't have to do it anymore. Harvey said it was kind of cool that we don't do it. And he was like, oh, that fucking sucks. And I said, why? He's like, because I wanted to keep the big wooden pussy when we were done with it. Thank you, everybody, and good night.